AskReddit, what's your most NSFW family moment? My uncle cheated on my aunt with her brother's wife for a while about 17 or 18 years ago. Nobody outside of those 4 people know except me and my eldest cousin, because my aunt got drunk one family reunion and told us. Everyone thinks the 2 families just hate each other for some petty reason. What makes it worse is my aunt has a child who is turning 18 who looks nothing like his dad, but strikingly similar to my other uncle. Yet nobody has ever mentioned anything, and we have never brought it up. Too long. Didn't read. My cousin might be my cousin. One Thanksgiving, many years ago, my mom got the bright idea that, before eating we would go around the table and everyone would share what they were thankful for. My dad told her repeatedly that he wasn't doing that, and that was a bad idea, but she insisted. So we are sitting there at the table waiting to see what happens. My whole family was in attendance, brother, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, and my grandmother. My dad volunteers to go first, and the look on my mom's face is one where she's trying to decide if she should be worried about what he's going to say, mixed with wondering if he just decided to play along. My dad says, "I'm thankful that I'm 50 years old and I can still get a rock hard erection." Half the table died laughing. Half the table was uncomfortable. My mom was pissed, and my dad got exactly what he wanted and stopped that whole process in its tracks. Then it was dinner time. Went to tell my brother that a classmate of ours had passed away. He didn't answer when I knocked, so I assumed he was sleeping and opened the door. Wrong. He was jacking off with headphones on. I managed to leave and close the door without him knowing I was there. Now that classmate is forever linked in my mind to my brother jacking off. My mom came home one day to a giant pair of tits flapping up and down in the computer screen with the volume on high. Coincidentally, my brother was the only one home that day. My mom gave me a kidney, and during our recovery she really wanted to see me, but the hospital wouldn't let her because she had complications from the surgery and was pretty out of it, but somehow she managed to slip out of her room and come find me. Mind you, I was on a completely opposite floor from her, so I don't know how the duck she found me. But anyway, it was my first official day eating solid foods, so I was pretty excited until she got there. While I was eating, here comes my mom into my room, and for some reason she decided it was the perfect time to undress. I mean, full frontal view of my mom, bush and all, and she goes, "Michael, look at what they did to me. Look at these scars." Needless to say, I will never eat Fruit Loops again and not be reminded of my mom's bush. I was having trouble with my radiator and had no toolbox, so I asked my dad if I could borrow his. He came over and said he'd fix it for me. I hadn't had time to clean up since he only lives 2 minutes away, so he started reading me my rights about how messy my house is, etc, etc. As he was lamenting over my clothes being on the floor, he opened my wardrobe to demonstrate how much room I had. In my wardrobe, there is a box. My dad looked down at the box. The box was open. The box was filled with fetish gear and sex toys. My dad closed the wardrobe and fixed my radiator. Oh god, this is very similar to a moment that still has me cringing. I was moving, and my parents decided to help me move. My girlfriend and I have a fetish box as well. Strap on, pumps, about 10 feet of rope, butt plug, lube, rings, all the necessities. Well, my girlfriend, bless her heart, thought it would be funny and stealthy to label the box books, but the two O's having eyes, like boobs. Yeah, were mature. Anyway, I'm in the new place unpacking boxes and my dad walks in with a books box. "Rob Stark deserved it. This box is really light for books. Let me make sure you got the right box here." "No, I know what's in there. It's fee." He cuts the box open, and it's all there. I'm positive the stench of so many fluids have just invaded his nostrils. He just stares for about 20 seconds, taking it all in. At this point I've gone past being ashamed. I'm ready for him to berate my sexual desires. He closes the box and just walks away, which felt more like I'm just disappointed more than anything. About 20 minutes goes by and he comes back in and just asks me, "No warm up. Why do you need another pick?" Well, it feels good. At that moment I realized my father, a rigid, military right wing, had no idea what a strap-on was. and that opened up a ducking can of worms. I had to make an emergency scramble while helping my brother move. His mother-in-law came to help him and his wife pack. She says to start in the living room and she'll go get more boxes. Wife mounts the porn, his face falls, and I made a dash for the living room to begin stashing all the porn underneath other videos into the one box they did have, so mother-in-law doesn't ask what Asian tacos to is. Was having a wank when my dad walked in. Shocked, I turned around. I was clothed, just had my pick out. He asked what I was doing. Startled, I said nothing. Are you doing drugs? That shocked me more than him finding me wanking. I told him no, and I said I was checking my balls for lumps. Oh, okay then. And left. Nothing more said about it. When I was 12 to 13, at a hotel room with my parents for a basketball tournament. Gold medal, thanks for asking. They ducked in the bed right next to mine 10 minutes after lights out. I never mentioned it to anybody. Last weekend I was visiting New York City, and lo and behold we share a hotel room. They ducked. Again. Not me, but my cousin who has a bit of a drinking problem was staying at our grandparents' house for a local festival. She proceeds to get hammered drunk and walks home. Walks in the door, goes to the bathroom, and gets naked and crawls into bed. The problem is that it wasn't in the room she was sleeping in. It was in my grandparents' room, so crawled in next to my grandfather naked. I was at my first real girlfriend's house when I was in high school. We would have sex in the basement, finished basement, when her family was home to avoid any walk-ins. After I finished, it was common practice to tie the condom in a knot and avoid throwing it in the trash bin to avoid the mom finding it when she was cleaning. So I left it on top of the ping pong table thinking I could take it upstairs with me. When we decided to leave, the ping pong table was right next to the couch. Well, I ducked up. Her father and little brother thought it was a good time to go downstairs and play ping pong. The brother gets to the table first, sees the used rubber, picks it up, the load of semen just dangling there, holds it out, turns to his father and says, "Dad, what is this?" The dad's face was of sheer terror as he screamed at his son to drop it, grabbed his wrist, and stomped upstairs, all while not breaking eye contact with me. I guess that instilled a fear of birth control into the poor girl. She got knocked up in college by a man her dad's age. I was back in town to see my family, and I met up with my dad and stepmom. They were out drinking with some of our closest family friends. Well, after about an hour or so they are getting pretty drunk and rowdy. I notice the women, including my stepmom, start getting real flirtatious with each other. Mind you, there are 5 couples including my parents at this gathering. I watch it continue, and I have to admit I'm a little uncomfortable seeing all these people I grew up around being overly sexual in public and in general. After a while I finally said, "What the duck is going on here?" to my parents. My stepmom started laughing and replied drunkenly with, "To be honest, you're the only one in this room I haven't ducked." Needless to say, I left quickly after that. When I was 14 or so, one of my cousins from mum's side of the family came with us to my grandparents' dad's side of the family for Christmas Day. We were staying there the night with my entire extended family, which is a nightmare in itself. My dad's brother, after drinking all day, and after finding out my cousin and I will be sharing a bed in the back of the 4-wheel drive, comes up to me and says really slyly, "You and your little girlfriend are sharing a bed, huh?" I inform him that she is my cousin and he just looks blankly at me and says that's okay. My first time was with my cousin. I hadn't mentioned this to anyone because it was weird and made me a little uncomfortable, but my cousin got married 2 weeks ago. At the reception I told my dad about what his brother had said to me some 15 years ago. My dad just looked at me and says, "Yeah, we both had our first times with Shelly. My family is a bunch of cousin duckers." When I was still in school, I came home with my girlfriend at the time. We're upstairs in my room and she's giving me a blowjob. Across the room, I see the door start to slowly and ridiculously silently open. In walks my father. Sees me, sees her. Most awkward eye contact ever. In a panic, I do the only thing I could think of. I point him out the door. Just as quietly as he came in, he was gone again. And on that day, he gained my eternal respect. She still doesn't know. Too long. Didn't read. Dad was a bro when it counted most. I was helping my then boyfriend's sister move into a new place and the keys were at the new house and someone needed to go get them. So my boyfriend and I drove over to get them. While we were there, we did a little exploring of the new empty house. We realized there was an attic and opened the ceiling door to let the steps down. I climbed up first and being in a skirt gave my boyfriend a nice view. We ended up having sex right there on the attic ladder and right in the middle we hear the door open. Boyfriend's name called out, a pause, and then the door shut. We sheepishly returned to the rest of the family at the old house to find his sister trying not to laugh hysterically. She says their mother came over to try to find out what was taking so long. Upon her return, she just loudly exclaimed they were duck-eyeing. To this day it's our favorite phrase to exclaim. Back when I was in high school I worked with my girlfriend on weekends. After work, we'd go back to her house and usually had 2 eye showers before her parents came home. On some days we'd take a nap, other days we'd watch a movie or fool around, etc. One fateful Saturday, our nap session turned into sex. As an aside, she was pretty loud, especially when she thought no one was home. So, we get started and everything is coming along nicely when all of a sudden there's some aggressive banging on her bedroom door. Of course we freak out, get dressed, and open the door only to find that it was her sister's boyfriend messing with us. So, we shut the door and get back to business in a much more aggressive manner than initially. Her moaning is now more like yelling, and I'm humping with reckless abandon when again there's another round of banging on the door. This time we ignore it and keep going for another 10-ish seconds before we hear Dad scream at us through the door. He drove me home in his police cruiser immediately after that 45-ish minutes in silence with his shotgun in the backseat and a condom still on my super flaccid pick. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, hit like, get subscribed, and tell us your most NSFW family moment in the comments section.